Beth, could you please share with us what areas broadly? You can put code names or whatever you like on them so that we don't obviously disclose anything secretive, but give us some confidence that Microsoft as an organization is trying to get out ahead of this. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. See, all technology vendor has to move around and go with the time, right? And this typically we said it according to the business need, according to the threat landscape, according to the geopolitical and geographical need and whatnot. Last year, Microsoft did a CISO survey. We went and asked hundreds of CISOs around the world to check with them in terms of what were their priorities before pandemic, what are their priorities in terms of technology during the pandemic, and what are they going to focus post-pandemic. And I'm not surprised by the answers what we got it. I have a report where maybe I can share the link later on my LinkedIn. You can go through the report. Pre-pandemic, the CISOs were focusing, if I give you priority in top 3, their focus was on endpoint protection. Number 2 focus was on phishing protection. And number 3 was on having a multi-factor authentication. During pandemic, all of a sudden, the 3 priorities which I mentioned, they changed their priority. Number 1 became multi-factor authentication. Number 2 became anti-phishing. Number 3 became endpoint protection. And fourth became the cloud security. But post-pandemic, the CISOs are moving into focus of cloud security as a number 1. They want to make sure that cloud security posture management, cloud workload posture management is the number 1 priority. Apart from multi-factor authentication, it's a no-brainer because you have to have a multi-factor authentication for 100% of your employee 100% of the time, because identity-based attacks are continuously increasing, which I mentioned to you a few minutes back, right? That's became a de facto number 1 priority for everyone. So what is Microsoft doing? Microsoft absolutely is working towards helping our customer to meet their current requirement of all those changes because of pandemic and post-pandemic. We are continuously increasing our effort in bringing more and more AI, ML, as you talked about, bringing more and more automation into our technology landscape, so that customers are not have to fight or work against all the problems or challenges what we have. We call alert fatigue, or we call it dashboard fatigue, or we call it the skill set challenges. So how much we can bring automation into and how much AI and ML we can bring into our product, so that the security is with the product or where the technology is, rather than putting it at a perimeter level. We want to bring the security closest to the source, as we call it, closest to the data, right? And there are things, multi-factor authentication, if you talk about, we have acquired quite a few organizations day to day. That's again a publicly news. We have another organization where biometric or voice-based authentication are also being added, because we know during pandemic the people are wearing masks and healthcare workers are having gloves, so they can't use fingerprint or face for authentication. So we want our technology to work with a biometric voice-based authentication as a multi-factor initiative. Second thing, you know, because of threat intelligence is one of the key area. You must have heard recently we acquired a Risk IQ. So we are bringing a lot of threat intelligence power into our environment, so we can detect and protect and analyze all those threats very quickly and support our customers as well as our product across it. Our threat signal analysis has gone almost 24 trillion signals a daily basis. We used to be 6 or 7 trillions a couple of years back before pandemic, if you know. So the kind of breadth and depth analysis what Microsoft is doing using AI ML is continuously increasing. Other areas, cool stuff such as quantum. I'm sure very soon you will hear quantum as a service coming up from all the tech vendors. It's not too far, because already attackers are using this kind of technology for targeting attacks. So we as a defender have to make sure that we have a similar or better power at least than our attackers to protect our customers and our data. You know, automation is a continuation one. Diversity of signals is another one. There are a lot of things we are working towards that. But in short, we have to align with what our customer needs and what are the threat landscape changes according to analysis what we do with all the signals. You know?
Thanks, Abbas. I'm not going to let you off the hook. I've got a follow-up question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Increasingly, critical infrastructure providers in modern economies are dealing with those 3 sort of can I say, the three dimensions of IT, operational OT, operational technology, and IoT. Now, I know that IoT has become a very, very significant focus for Microsoft, not just in terms of acquisition and development of capability, but for an organization that has to actually defend, and the defense of an IT-based organization is very different to one which is an OT-based organization. There's incredible complexity regarding SCADA, and ICS, and then the emerging, the rest, if I can call it that, IoT. Is there anything that you can talk about just in terms of it's becoming such a big challenge? We're defending such a huge perimeter.
Absolutely.
And it's any thoughts and ideas around or areas that we're exploring in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So traditionally, we have seen IT OT always works in silos, not connected to the IT environment, and there is a separate security team who manages only those environments. I used to work for a similar kind of organization in Victoria in Victorian government, which had lots of OT environment. But I was not given in charge of security for that as a CISO. There was a separate team, engineeringly focused, who doesn't know security as much as we security folks do, but we are not allowed to converge with them. They said this is a completely different area. But then now the world is changing. You have to have a holistic view of IT, OT, and IoT as well. It has to be together. Security has to be managed together. And that is why Microsoft also focuses a lot more having the IoT and OT platform integration and their signal into our own tooling. For example, Microsoft Defender for Cloud, what we have as a part of our solutioning, IoT Hub is a part of that. You can have a single dashboard for monitoring the security for on-prem, hybrid, and IT OT as well. And the challenge what we face is an agent, right? You can't install agent on those small form factors or the devices which doesn't have a good memory. So we have to think creatively in terms of in terms of how are we going to capture the threat signals from them. So that's why IoT Hub comes into play, which is an agentless solution. We tap from the network traffic what's going on, and we analyze those network traffic with our threat signal to identify the anomalies. And that's how we protect those environment on that. And the last one is on how zero trust can help. One of the biggest element as a part of zero trust is your micro segmentation. We have been talking about VLANing and having a air gap kind of environment. So micro segmentation does help, which covers not only IT but also OT and IoT part as well. Having completely separate segmented network, but also having a monitoring on those network what's going around as a part of IoT Hub. I'll stop it there. Maybe Kenny can add more on that.